Padraig Mccrory stopped Steve Collins Jr. in the 8th round. 8th and final round. This was for the BUI Celtic title. Now, I want to address the stoppage. That stoppage was a disgraceful stoppage by referee John Irvine. That was absolutely ridiculous. Yes, Collins appeared to be buzzed. His legs did stiffen and he was on the ropes. But most of the shots were getting blocked. He wasn't, getting his head rocked back. He never even so much as took a beating in this fight. And referee was so quick to jump in, it was insanity. So I want to say that was a very, very poor stoppage. Terrible stoppage by the referee. Let's talk about this fight. Steve Collins Jr., he is a fighter who I've seen, I want to say about 3, maybe 4 times. The first time I ever saw him fight was actually live. I saw him fight Stephen Ward in Windsor Park last year, and that fight was an absolute stinker. It stunk the whole place out. It was the longest 8 rounds I've ever seen. It was 2 guys being very negative, not wanting to engage. The highlight of that fight was when Deontay Wilder came out. It kind of brought the stadium to life. And since then, I've seen 2 of his subsequent fights, and he looked terrible in them fights, especially his last fight. He looked awful in those fights. And he joined up now with Pete Taylor, the dad of Katie Taylor. And I have to say, he was fighting better than I've ever seen him in this fight. I think he was definitely winning rounds in there. Mccrory, although you could tell he was the better boxer, he was very cagey. I thought that Collins Jr. was just outworking him. And I think that Steve Collins Jr., his biggest problem is that he just doesn't have any punching power because he throws so many arm punches. He was tagging Padraig Mccrory with several shots in here, and you could just tell, even Barry Jones at ringside said it, if they had a bit of power on them, different story. So, as far as I was concerned, this was a good performance from both guys, but it was kind of tainted by the referee. I would have been interested to see what the scorecards would have said, because I think after 5 rounds, Barry Jones gave Steve Collins Jr. every round, and I would be inclined to agree with that. Some of the rounds were close. You could definitely see who the better fighter was, but I definitely would be interested to see what the scorecard said. And I'm looking back at the replay of the stoppage here. I really don't see why the referee jumped in and stopped the fight, because most of them shots, I count 1 shot that got through Steve Collins. Yes, he wasn't punching back, but he wasn't buzzed. He didn't take a beating in this fight. None of them shots that I could see were going through. They were getting blocked in the glove. They were being partially blocked. I think there was 1 shot out of all the shots I saw that actually landed. So, horrible stoppage from the referee. That was a real hometown stoppage. That smelled of home cooking. But Padraig Mccrory, he's a good fighter. He turned pro very late. He's in his 30s. He does have power. His record doesn't suggest he has power. He got the knockout of the year last year. I forget who it was. It could have been MTK or someone like that, but it was a very good knockout. He has power, but I think he needs the right dance partner to be able to show that punching power. And obviously Steve Collins, for all his flaws, he is quite elusive, apart from the last round. Interesting. It was an interesting fight. It was a decent little watch as well. I definitely think Steve Collins Jr. should stay at super middleweight. He should not be going back up to cruiserweight or light heavyweight. And, he's called out Eubank Jr. in the past. I wouldn't particularly like to see that fight myself. But I think Collins Jr. should take some comfort from this fight. He gave a good account of himself. It was a good performance. And, under Pete Taylor, he seems to be doing, a good bit better. He definitely seems to be improving. So it was a decent way to start off this card. Let me know what you think down below. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. And as always, I will talk to you after.